Hello, seagoats. So I know that this video is unexpected, and my blanket is on my sofa and everything. But here I am, and this is something that I wanted to really discuss in terms of um, this topic, mainly because and I woke up not that long ago, and it's kind of crazy. But I wanted to talk about this topic in terms of navigating and understanding scapegoat syndrome, especially as we're moving from one generation into the other, because we are escaping the Capricorn Pluto generation and moving into obviously the Aquarian generation. And this video, after I finish it, is going to go into the healing circle. I'm going to keep it up for maybe a couple of hours. And then it's going to go into the healing circle. And you guys know the healing circle is a membership I have here. But this topic has just been, oh my God, it's been bursting out of me, because in the healing circle, we've been talking so much about personal empowerment, navigating the self, expanding on yourself, and all of the different lessons that are happening right now in terms of Capricorn energy and seagoat energy. And scapegoatism is a big part. Scapegoatism plays a big role, and it's just been heavy on my heart all this morning. And one of the biggest things when it comes to scapegoat energy is the way in which obviously it takes away your personal power. And a lot of you guys have dealt with scapegoatism, which I've spoken about in the user video in terms of something that can follow Capricorn, because you guys harbor the devil energy, and because the term scapegoat is literally derived from a time period during biblical times when they would take all of their sins and they would put it onto the goat and then cast the goat away. And I think they would unalive the goat as they casted it away, saying that their sins no longer existed because they put it on the scapegoat. So a lot of you, due to your hyper responsibility and interconnection with this narrative, it's not by any mistake that Capricorn is represented by the goat, is a part of why scapegoatism is something that is easy to find you. People tend to do this to you. And one of the biggest things when it comes to this energy is the way in which scapegoatism creates a narrative around you. We talk about it when it comes to abuse and when it comes to the scapegoat dealing with certain levels of trauma and being the victim. But one of the biggest ways that a scapegoat is victimized is through being made out to be the villain. That is the number one defeating tool that other people will use to scapegoat someone successfully, which is to villainize the victim. And a lot of the time, especially when you guys are deep in the dark depths of the Capricorn energy or just scapegoat energy, right, is when you think that you are the problem, when you think that you are the nuisance, when you believe that all of these negative, toxic emotions are tied to you and these negative perspectives are yours to own. In society as well, when you see scapegoats in I don't want to just say public, but societal scapegoatism is usually when they give the worst of the worst to their scapegoats. It's like giving the worst food to the poor, right? And then the poor will take on those images and find pride in it. One of the biggest and most successful ways to scapegoat someone is to convince them that trash is treasure, and to watch them convert trash into treasure and find pride in it. And that is successful, because it's one thing to scapegoat someone and constantly victimize them and terrorize them and do all of these things, but the person is completely defeated when they take on scapegoatism themselves, when they find, again, pride in the dark, pride with trash, when they begin to become so comfortable sitting in the garbage or laying home next to the garbage that it no longer smells to them. It no longer has an odor. For example, when obviously I live in Southern Europe, but in the past I was in Medellin, and I was going to move to Colombia, and I was going to, stake my my place there when my career was more focused in architecture. But when I was there and I was doing a study on Pablo Escobar and social urbanism, different things like that, it was rooted in like more like civil engineering, landscape architecture work. So when I was there, one of the things that happens, and for anybody who's from Colombia or from hi, if anybody is from that area, you know and understand the history and the neighborhood that is formerly known as like the Trash Mount. And during the rise of Pablo and all of the work that he did, work damage that he did, or whatever it may be. I don't want to say anything negative about him because there are different perspectives of him. In order to escape the crime, a lot of people moved out of the main center of the city and into an area that was a trash mount. And it was the only way that they could find safety because the city was just so bombarded with all of the things that were going on. And now if you go to that area, obviously you wouldn't know that it was once a trash mount, but if you look at the layers, and obviously I was doing this because it was my study, I was looking at the layers of grass and some of the hills, and you see some of the trash from the 1980s still interwoven into the dirt in the grime that is now just hills of grass, right? So it shows obviously a beautiful experience with the earth and the healing that the earth can do, and that it's just a regular neighborhood now. But I'm using this as an example to talk about literally what does it mean to be comfortable in a trash mount, right? What does it mean to create home in these kind of circumstances? And for a lot of the people who had to do this, they were the scapegoats in the area at the time because of various things tied to their identities. And they were much more in danger than the average person living in the city because of that reason, right? But that brings me back to my point in terms of one of the greatest ways to completely defeat someone in terms of scapegoatism is to make them comfortable with that, right? When you've convinced someone over and over again that they are not worthy, or they are worthless, or that they have no use, you go from worthlessness into saying that you are so worthless that you create nothing but nuisance. You are a headache. You are a criminal, whatever it may be, right? And pushing them down and pushing them down and pushing them down. They then can take that on themselves and internalize it. And then again, find pride in it. So you no longer need to abuse someone that has been told so many times that they were ugly, that they take on that ugliness and they wear it and they enjoy that experience. That defeating experience means that you have completely taken your enemy to the point of their own destruction. So when it comes to what has gone on with scapegoatism and what you guys have experienced when it comes to Capricorn and Pluto, and the ways in which people may have guilt trip. If you did not deal with scapegoatism, obviously this video is not for you. But for many Capricorns, you guys did, because you can be prone to it. And obviously Capricorn and Pluto was there. And the art of manipulation when it comes to scapegoatism is something that a lot of you guys have experienced, whether it was blatant or whether it was through coercion or compliments to kind of get you to set yourself up. So as we move out of Capricorn Pluto, we're seeing that energy kind of transform and transcend, and obviously things that were comfortable in the previous generation will not be comfortable now after the fact. And so as we navigate this in terms of personal empowerment, kind of like what I've been talking about in the healing circle, how to find personal empowerment, love the self, expand on the self, a lot of you guys are going through this notion of taking your power back. And it's showing up in very, very different aspects of your life. And if you have dealt with scapegoatism, as I'm talking about, this is one of the things that it's awakening within you. And in the healing circle, we've been talking about how the past is on the subconscious and then it's becoming conscious. And a lot of you guys can be dealing with frustrated emotions tied to the past times that you've given your power away, times that you were scapegoated either into becoming the villain. Like I said, that's the worst way to scapegoat someone, is to convince them that they are the villain beyond them being the victim, or it was simply you just allowing yourself to be victimized. One of the main modes of shame, especially for Capricorn, because power can be something that comes so natural to you guys, you can stiff your lip and do things well. So when it comes to being scapegoated, you can be so good at, unfortunately, being the scapegoat, because you can take on so much responsibility, stiff lip in a difficult situation, and then find the empowerment of just saying, uh, you know, I will make a home in the trash, right? And I will make a great one, and I will be very good at it in that sense, right? And that can be such a detriment. And that's why it's about breaking free from that and understanding that personal empowerment is found in your personal liberation and you being able to reach the light. Just because you are yin and just because you are Capricorn, which means you are in the dead of winter, there is so much purity and beauty in your energy as you learn how to be comfortable with yin energy and align it with your yang, right? Finding the it's like being in the moonlight, you know. And yes, Capricorn can be solar. Capricorn is definitely connected to the sun. So it just depends on how you want to do this. But it's a matter of understanding both and not allowing yourself to just kind of be the diamond in the rough or beaten down or taken down by the things that people have placed upon you. It's knowing that responsibility is self first and not the responsibilities of everyone else, everyone's expectations of you. Do not be blindly politicized. Do not be blindly taking on identities that don't actually serve you. Because when you do, you're not realizing that that is you taking on the identity of the scapegoat. That is you taking on the identity of the scapegoat, and you can be free from this energy and you understand liberation. One of the other things as well is we are in an age of Aries, right? Where Aries is in the North Node and Aries is still retrograde in Chiron, and Aries is still retrograde in Chiron. So as it's still going through this, what we can learn from Aries energy is how to be the pioneer who knows how not to take on responsibilities that do not serve it. Aries has to go its own way. And as Aries goes its own way, it has to teach itself how to navigate its own experience, right? And we all have been going through what does it mean to have our identities, our identity politics, our ability to create our own paradigm, to create our own lives. And we've been going through this for years, and this is coming to its close because Aries will be exiting the North Node at the beginning of next year, and Aries will be getting out of Chiron as well. So we're kind of at the last leg of the refinement of this, and you guys especially, because it's been Pluto in Capricorn, all right? Everything's going to be going into fixed. So you will be liberated unless you have dominant fixed sign energy. That's a whole different experience for you. But if you mostly are cardinal dominance, you're going to feel a very huge weight lift when 2025 comes because that transformation for you is no longer in that sense. But going back to what I was saying in terms of what we can learn from Aries as cardinal energies is learning how to pioneer without the excess weight. Okay, you guys have been needing to take the rocks off your shoulders and allow yourself to be free of the past, free of the things that have happened, free of, again, the ways in which people try to scapegoat you and control you through things like the responsibility of identity, the responsibility of, again, this could show up in the practical sense where you have to be the person in your family that does this. You have to believe this spiritual belief or this religion, or you have to fall in line culturally in all of these different ways. You have allowed yourself to be the bearer of other people's sins, whether they are in the form of compliments, which is, you know, when people pat you on the back and tell you that they have pride in you. That's another one of very dangerous ways in which people scapegoat. Because again, we hear scapegoatism and we often think of just victimization when a person is telling you you're bad, you're horrible, you know, putting you down. And that's something that we are used to hearing. But one of the greatest ways to set someone up for their own failure is through the lens of compliments. Is to look them in their eye and tell them how to stand in their own way by telling them something good about something bad. You know, so a compliment that is in the form of getting them to separate from themselves. It's like looking in the eyes of a beautiful woman and telling her that she would look better if she did things to make herself less beautiful, right? But then packaging it in the form of a compliment, so you can manipulate her into setting herself up, right? Another thing as well in terms of scapegoatism is, again, false pride. Uh, that being the thing that pushes you forward and then getting you to claim whatever it is that they want you to claim while they set themselves free of the burden of whatever it is that you decided to take on. self-liberate. You're at the last bits of this Capricorn Pluto, and it is time for you to really pressurize yourself, but not in a negative way, but put the pressure on in terms of you releasing the confines and the chains, right? Letting go. And a lot of the personal readings, and I know that I'm late, it's only because of what's going on with my computer, but the career reading is on its way today. And in the career reading, we saw the devil come up again, so in a lot of the readings lately, the devil has been coming up in terms of you guys finding empowerment through that energy. And I believe it was the career, I'm not sure which reading it was that I did recently where, I think it's the career reading where you're being required to be the devil, to be powerful, to release the chains of the devil that was actually working against you in terms of toxicity. So it was an interesting energy in terms of you understanding how to be the person in the power seat when it comes to this energy and not the victim to this energy, if you get what I'm saying. The victim to the devil energy is someone who obviously is dealing with scapegoatism or negativity and addictions and things like that, versus Capricorn being the devil in a positive way is understanding that you are in power and you are in control of the physical plane, of the earthly plane. This plane does not control you, you control it. You are not a product of addictions or, again, attachments or any of this negative dark energy does not touch you. That is the beauty of that experience. And I was talking about this in the healing circle as well, that when you embrace this, what it's saying to you is you do not have to be bound by these very dark things. It's like a Scorpion energy, and when it comes to death, right? Like death being the Tower card of Scorpio. When you release the fear of death, you become a master of it, of the death and rebirth experience, of not being afraid to transform, to change, to expand yourself. Just like when it comes to the devil energy, when that tarot card hits on the table, most people are very scared. They're intimidated. But for you guys, it says that you have the power within you to align above that, to expand beyond it, to not have to be broken down by these things that usually break down others, that you can be a master of your intensity or the material or manifestation and things like that, to a space of pure energy. The fallen angel, right, can go back into its angelic state when it understands how not to be, I guess, a product of the negative. You get what I mean? The merger of the yin and yang, duality. That's what it represents, duality, understanding the dual, right? So that's the big thing that I wanted to say to you guys. I know this is a big of a rant, or kind of a rant, but it just was on my heart so much. And I was like, I need to talk about this. And it's usually something I would just say in the healing circle, but I wanted to put this here. It's going to go into the healing circle. Like I said, I'm going to leave it up on here for maybe the day or two and then bring it back. But yeah, I wanted to. Good, good. I'm glad. So yeah, I wanted you guys to know that break free from any kind of, again, self-imposed limitations, restrictions. You deserve to have freedom, and lightness can find you. And that free, fluid energy can be what you experience. You don't have to be the diamond in the rough, the person who is held back while everyone else is set free. Okay. So yeah, if you guys want me to talk about scapegoatism in the future, let me know. There's just so many things that I feel like don't get spoken about enough, like the power of image and how people use image as a way, as a mode of violence. Like social media can be used as a mode of violence. For anybody that's ever survived a toxic or narcissistic relationship knows that the first thing that the person will do is go on social media to create an attack, an image attack. They will make themselves seem like they're so much better off without you, and they're so happy, and look at how great their lives are, and all of these things. And you are struggling to pick yourself up because you're not so focused on the image like the way that they are, So different things like that. Free yourself, okay? Free yourself. Understand when you're under attack. Not every smile is real just because it's posted on the internet. It is time for you guys to experience freedom and liberation, okay? So I love you. And yeah, tell me what you guys think in the comments. And yeah, okay, about my rants. Okay, ciao.